Okay, let's try this again. All right, that should be coming. Okay, I'm going to drop what should be, yeah, it's a different link. So I'm just going to delete the other guy. That's not the right one. Okay. And then let me get some video back on you. Okay. Are we in business now? I think we are. Let me try one thing. Can I get somebody to just say something on the audio on Discord? Okay, so I can actually hear you, believe it or not. So that's progress. Then the question is, can I hear it on YouTube? And that would actually be mission accomplished for where we wanted to try to get. Hold on a second. All right. Okay. So here's the deal. This is the current. I just figured out the current configuration. Okay, which is it's better. I think better than it was. Which is that I can hear you live on Discord. Yeah, exactly, Kevin. That's what I was just confirming. There's no audio from you guys on YouTube. So win one, lose one, but we're getting closer. We'll get it all nailed by the last day. But it does mean if you want to interrupt me to say something like, "Hey, Dr. K, it's frozen," or something like that, I can hear it. But just your comments aren't going to go out to YouTube. So, continue to favor the text comments. Okay. And I can hear myself through somebody's echo on a hot mic. Okay, we'll get it figured out. We're actually, I was fiddling with it to get some things changed. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Hi, everybody. What's up? I don't know what PTT is. So, Seth, let's hit this like maybe right after class, but I don't want to debug it in real time any further. Oh, push to talk. Interesting. But that wouldn't help YouTube, I don't think. Okay, so let's wrap up. Let's wrap up the class diagrams. Then I want to do just a wee bit more design. We haven't done some cool design in a little while. Working on the grading the midterms. Let's see. I think we covered some of the implications of the Liskoff substitution principle. It's a little bit clunky. Yeah, Kevin, anyway, we can, Kevin, I think you're right. And it has to do with on a Mac, I have this sort of MIDI audio device thing, and I create a streaming device, and it's a matter of what gets kind of turned on and back off. But understand, Seth, that it's different on Windows versus Mac in terms of what the devices are and what you can do with OBS. Just keep that in mind. Okay, so here's the idea of the Liskoff substitution principle. when you're doing object-oriented, class design. Um, the return value of a method it's a little clunky. It sounds kind of legalese. The return value of a method of the subclass needs to comply with the same rules as the return value of the method of the superclass, so that you're not, if you're calling the same method with the same name and one of them has overridden the other one, the interface still has to stay the same. Okay, you can't break. That's really, in a nutshell, what that's all about. And we kind of got to this point. Okay, and we're just going to hit the end of these, which I believe was only like 7 more slides or something like that. And then I want to do a little bit of design, and then I want to talk about sequence diagrams. Okay. Oh, and I want to talk about, we burned all of our time, but I just want to talk about Taylor Hawkins. I'm kind of I'm any Foo Fighters fans. I'm just kind of heartbroken about about Taylor Hawkins. Um, and he was the drummer of the Foo Fighters. Just died at age 50. Anyway, brutal. It was rough. That's all I want to say about that. Just any fellow Foo Fighters fans, uh, it means something. Um, all right. Some other things that show up in class diagrams: notes and comments, because sometimes you just gotta say stuff, right? Like this right here: a car includes pickups and SUVs, but not motorbikes. Just attach a note and put it in the diagram. You can also have documents that just accompany the diagram. That's not a bad approach at all. Um, there are dependencies. Um, we talked a little bit about how you get dependencies in imperative code, right? Something changes, then other stuff winds up having to change. Whereas they're at the bottom. If something changes, other stuff has to change. And the idea behind object-oriented programming was, as long as the interface doesn't change, the details can change underneath, because you don't care, because you don't look at it, because the coupling is low, right? I only have to know what I have to know to talk to you and get stuff back. I don't need to know, all the internal implications. Um, and by the way, I'm looking at my big screen because it's just a bigger picture than what I've got right here on my monitor with the OBS stuff. Um, but it does turn out that there are some dependencies where if something changes, then something else has to change. That's all that's about. Okay, when that happens, there's a thing in UML to deal with that. Um, and then there's this notion of kind of direction. If a class is downstream, you can change it without concern. If it's upstream, you got to be more careful. And you can add certain keywords. Is this even on there? Where is that? No. You can add keywords for additional meaning. Um, don't worry too much about that. Um, by the way, let me drop a survey. Only Kevin and I are grieving Taylor apparently in here today. I'm going to do 2 surveys. Okay, William, jump on, baby. Survey. Um, the first one is just informational. I'm a Foo Fighters fan. Yes or no? I don't know how to define fan. Okay, the second survey is what was my second survey going to be? Oh yeah. I use UML in okay. Second survey. I use UML in a real world environment like work and internship, and then I'm just curious, for those. Okay, Walter said more of a Dave Grohl fan than Foo Fighters. Yeah, I'm probably just similar kind of thing, but also Foo Fighters. But yeah, okay. What else to say? What else to say? We're almost out of this thing. There's a typo that I just noticed. Anyway, this really just speaks to the idea. Um, speaks to the idea that you can't put everything in the diagram, so you've got to always be selective. And Luke, no, he didn't. Okay, yeah. So the deal is, on the first album, it was basically a Dave Grohl solo project that he just called the Foo Fighters. He did write everything and perform everything in the first album. After that, he didn't perform everything. And then by about the third album, the whole group was writing. So later stuff is more, spread out in terms of who was doing the writing. Okay. What else? The core principle is minimize dependencies. Um, oh, nice, Walter. And it looks like on our UML thing. Okay, I'm curious. Like, who said yes? We got Kevin, James, and Riley. I'm just curious about what your experience is. If you wouldn't mind dropping some shares in there about your experience using UML in a real world. How are there tools? Are there other stuff that would be um, you know. Anyway, and then we've got 15, 18, 19 responses to the Foo Fighters question, of which six, oh, I need to put mine there. I'd consider myself a significant Foo, and I think my definition of a huge fan of any band is when your favorite tunes are ones that nobody's ever heard. You know what I mean? Like if for example, if you like 21 Pilots um, and the only song you know, but you really love it, is uh, Stressed Out, then I don't think you're a 21 Pilots fan. It's more just like I like some of their songs. You know what I mean? If you don't even know and I'm probably therefore not a huge 21 Pilots fan, but I'm familiar. But with Foo Fighters, my favorite tunes are tend to not be released as singles, um, with the exception of, I'll simply drop this on you, which is Cold Day in the Sun, which actually features Taylor Hawkins on the vocal, and he wrote it. He wrote that song and was the vocal on it, and that's one of my all-time favorites. Um, anyway, yeah, tell me about your experience. Let me see. Reading these, Riley. Okay, using it to design part of your compiler, just general. So Riley, that's not imposed on you in a work environment, right? That's that kind of what I think you're saying there. Yeah, your choice. Okay, that's cool, right? I mean, and the key with any tool, whether it's UML or something else, the key is meet your needs, right? If it's working against your needs, that's not a good decision. Um, okay, Canute, you said this feels like gatekeeping. What does that mean? Please explain yourself, sir or madam. James said, I used UMLs, for being a fan of music. Yeah, yeah. No, it probably is right, which is really at some level not fair. We're just sharing. We're just sharing our grief. James, yeah. James, I used UML a lot when I was a web dev, needed to explain how a new website feature would work to others that weren't programmers. Helped a lot to get their feedback and ask what methods classes should have. And that actually worked for you, James? I mean, it sounds like that was a good experience. So that's cool. Um, Kevin said, my use of UML is definitely not as formal. However, for any larger project or system, it's hard to describe and discuss it without having some sort of graphic. Amen to that. Right on. Um, Derek suggests you're a Beatles fan if your favorite song is Within You Without You. Yeah, it's hard to argue. Um, I'll go you deeper and say you're a Beatles fan if your favorite song is Martha, My Dear, um, or Lovely Rita Meter Maid. Um, let's see. All right, William said, random thought, but I've been, and by the way, I just want to say, most like the biggest 10 hits by Foo Fighters, other than Learn to Fly, like Everlong, don't care much for it. The best of you, the best with you, the best of whatever doesn't do much for me. The big Foo Fighters anthem songs don't do much for me. That's my crazy confession, and yet I consider myself a really significant fan. Um, and my favorite album is Echoes and Silence, Patience, Echoes, Silence, Patience, and Grace, which is amazing. All right, William, random thought, but I've been following this huge Pokemon 2D game tutorial that has like 100 episodes, and the observer pattern is huge in it. Thought that was cool to see in application and recognize it. Nice, nice. Um, Mike suggests observer pattern, generally very common for anything with a GUI. Sure. Yeah, also Canute, My Hero, it's a great song, but again, doesn't do that much for me. It's one of the big Foo Fighters anthems, you know? There you have it. Um, let's see. What else? Yeah, core principle, minimize dependencies. Constraint rules. This is just this idea. This feels like you want to be a true Foo Fighters fan, so you don't like pop. No, no, no. Here's the thing. So, okay, Luke says that you force yourself to like the music that's less known. No, no, Luke, come on, man. No, I think it's just a matter of I knew all those songs and nothing ever happened until I went deep in the catalog and got really, really hooked by the deeper stuff. So it's like it didn't do anything for me initially, and there are exceptions where there's bands that, they've got something that really, really hooks you. These are really about shiny objects, right? Something that really hooks you, and then you get deeper into the catalog and you realize that there's like nothing else there that really hooks you other than the songs you actually knew, and the rest. Muse was like that for me. You know, nice, nice. Yeah, that's right, Luke. It's all about one-upping other people at parties because that's what I live for. Luke, I'm gonna miss you guys after this semester. I'm not gonna miss a lot of things, but I will miss you guys. Okay, constraint rules. Just remember that really a class diagram is a big, loosely organized set of constraints. That's all it really is. But you can tack on additional constraints, right? Pretty much any way you want, but you put them inside little braces like this. See the little braces on the slide? Um, okay, what do we got here? One, two. Yeah, we got two more slides. And then I'll get back to we'll get back to James and argue about Muse, and then I will side up with Gunnar as being a huge Danny Elfman fan. Uh, and then Gunnar, what we need from you is favorite Oingo Boingo song, because there's Danny Elfman Boingo, and then there's Danny Elfman music movie sound score guy. Okay, appropriate use. This is our last two slides. Use all of the diagram features to feed your understanding. So again, when you get into Dead Man's Party, well, you guys impressing me, impressing me. Keep going. Canute, yeah, you got to be an Eagles fan. So here's the idea. That you go into a company, they want you to try to build something, they give you an opportunity. What do you do? How do you do what you do? And you don't know what to do. Go hit UML. This is a big takeaway. It's a life skill. Go hit UML because you're like, well, I got to design these classes. Well, what are the things I can be thinking about? Everything that the diagrams enable you to document is also the documentation teaching you to think about that whole thing. Okay? Um, let's see. So, yeah. So this is important. Okay, this slide is really, really important. Remember Sapir-Whorf? There are thoughts you can't have without the vocab. Right. Okay. And just understand that organizations differ. And then here's the last one. They're not just useful for building object-oriented software. They can be used for a lot of things because you can analyze businesses, you can analyze systems, whether you're building software or not. You can try to, go look at what are the chunks of a fast food restaurant and how do you make that efficient. You can start by saying, well, what are the various sort of objects? There's a kitchen, there's a dining room, there are various objects, right? There are objects. Dining rooms are composed of tables and chairs, and you can analyze and use it in that same way, right? And don't draw models for everything. It's almost always going to be counterproductive. Okay, diminishing return on investment. Okay, that's it for class diagrams. I just want to say, Gunnar, where are we at here? Let me get rid of that. Okay. Yeah, I just want to say, okay, I just want to say I have no exposure to Anberlin at all. And I want to understand, James, what makes you a huge Muse fan? Because, like, I really, really, really dug Supermassive Black Hole. And then I picked up Black Holes and Revelation before Spotify was a thing. And the rest of it didn't do anything for me anyway. But Amberlin I need to know about. Yeah, William. Danny Elfman Gunner. I'm just gonna go Oingo Boingo. The song is gonna be Stay. Stay would be the one. Yeah, I want to hear more about Amberlin. I'm just scanning the comments real quick. My experience, Luke said, in my experience, new hires aren't really asked to do full design work on classes or a project. More like write certain methods inside of an existing product, sure, to get a certain functionality. But again, whatever you're doing, you can sanity check it. And if you look back at what right, Luke, you're looking back to the stuff that you are trying to fit into, and it makes you wonder, are there dependencies I need to be aware of? The Liskoff substitution principle would help you understand, if I'm going to do a special, some kind of a specialization of this thing, or I'm going to overwrite some methods, I've got to not break the world, and what dependencies there and things like that. Still going to help you. And that's whether you're drawing UML or not. That's really the key, whether you're drawing it or not, you know. Let me see. What was the deal there? Yeah, Kevin said, do they at least let you sit at the table and watch? It's funny. When I was brand new at HP, um, first out of college, I actually wound up taking full ownership for like keyboard and printer device drivers for our release of the OS2 operating system on uh, the original HP Vectra personal computer. Which is kind of weird when I think about that fact that, because it's not common to just write code from scratch right out of the chute. But I did it. Um, okay, William, Knights of Sidonia, that's Muse, right? Yeah, I don't know, man. It just never hooked me. Never hooked me. What else? Little Girl's the best Oingo Boingo song. Luke said, I was mostly joking. It was mainly talking about the design at large enough companies is done pretty far above the individual development teams. And you know what else is different? What I've noticed as I've kind of kicked into this new gig that I was telling you about is when you are doing things like, kind of full Scrum mode, which we do, and everything is sort of sprints, and the sprints are made of tickets, and the tickets are kind of, constructed by our design overlords. Thank you, Lance. Um, you know, you can be fairly new, pick up a ticket, do the ticket, don't break anything, and kind of bootstrap. back in the days before Agile, it was a little harder to pull that off, you know. Um, let me see. Yeah. So no, good comments, Luke. Wes drops Red Vox on us. I love the recommendations for new tunage. Being a leader of a cover band, as you're aware, I think you're aware. Yeah, we talked about this, I think. Um, and Kevin said being a code monkey is fairly common in the beginning. Yeah, and I think that's right. I think it's right. You don't necessarily have the insight to do the larger sort of scale design, you know. Um, but you know, so the notion of being, you know, aware of where you feel underappreciated, undertrusted. I think that undertrusted is a natural byproduct of just being new, because you don't know, you don't have the wisdom yet acquired, and some of that's just, you know. Luke said before he quit his job, he was over trusted, could have broken stuff for real. Yeah, Kevin said if you're a code monkey for 10 years, there's a problem. Or Kevin, I would say, or you, that's what you want, and you're in the right place. Most companies aren't interested in somebody who's just going to be a code monkey for the next 10 years. That's true. Okay. Hey, I wanted to pull up just a little more design and then shift over to sequence diagrams. Um, More design of everyday things. And the problem is, I don't remember how far we got. So let me see if I can pull these up and try to remember. Yeah, let me go here. I'm going to drop in to this one, and you guys got to tell me if we've hit it before. Let me see. I'm looking at the first one. Yeah, we definitely got through the first one. I'm going to go to the second one, and then just, tell me if we've seen it. I don't think that we have. Have we seen this? Okay, new stuff. Yeah, this is just mostly for fun, right? I mean, I get the idea, but you know, in other words, the bath tissue is made from 100% recycled materials, but it's not actually like recycled bath tissue. But that's what it says. So just another one of these, unclear messaging. These are just for fun, right? This one, I took this picture myself. Actually, I took both of these myself, but I took this one myself. I think no. I think no. Ask an associate for a demonstration. Would you imagine? Yeah, where was this? It looks like a Home Depot, maybe. Okay, next one. This one is interesting because this is a picture I took. Um, this remote control came with a label on it that said remote. Now, yeah, thanks, Seeds. um, yeah, okay. This is what's called redundant labeling, right? It's like I've seen this before, right? Um, like for example, you've got two roommates, right? And you've got two different TVs and two different remotes. So you put a label on it. This is a design principle. Don't say out loud the things you get for free, the things that you don't have to say. Okay? Yeah. So I don't even know why it had that label. Honestly, Kevin, I don't know if it came or if somebody put a label on it. But check this out. I tore the label off, and underneath it said Vizio, which was the brand of the TV. Okay. Um, okay, but this is a thing you see from time to time. You'll see two remotes, and one of them, because somebody's like frustrated with, their remote being used, they decide to label it so you know which one's which, and then they'll say, and the label will say something like John's remote. Okay, you don't have to say remote. It's obviously a remote. You don't have to say John's remote or John's power strip when it's clearly a power strip. Just put your name on it, John, and there you get the rest for free. So the principle, the design principle, is don't say either when you're writing or when you're designing or whatever, don't say the things you get obviously and clearly for free. Lance, what's your comment? Or is your comment simply comment? Comment. Same. You're killing me. Okay, let me keep going. This one I did. Kevin. Oh, is that a Taylor Hawkins memorial? Kevin, what is that? Is that a rim shot? Oh, that's the tears. Oh, Kevin. Makes me sad. Sad bear. Okay, and I still don't know what Lance's comments are. Yeah. Check this out. What is in my question is, I took this picture myself. What's in that? What is in that container? Talk to me. What's your guess? Okay. Kevin says yogurt. What else? What are the other guesses? James says whole milk, Greek plain, some Greeks. Yeah. Tyson says some Greeks screws. Nice. Oh, okay, William. Okay, thank you, William, who is apparently Lance's attorney, who's now going to tell us what Lance was thinking. Yeah, sewing supplied. No, no, no. So yeah, just some plain Greeks. Okay, no. Um, but it looks like, look at the picture and just look at the container. Okay, it's actually a dairy product, okay? And I'll give you this bunch of a hint. It's one of two options. It's either sour cream or yogurt. Okay? No, it's not cottage cheese. Well, because it doesn't look jiggity. No, who said it? Who said it? Walter, no, not cottage cheese. You can tell by the picture it's not cottage cheese. Well, maybe you can't. Point is, there's stuff that comes in containers like that. Cottage cheese does, so does sour cream, so does yogurt, right? And this just goes whole milk, Greek, plain, right? Now, yeah, that's right. So thank you, Kevin. Right? So Kevin, like you got to zoom in. Um, Uh, and here's my question, Seed. So Seed says, well, that's what you get for great value. You pay for value, not for pretty or accurate labeling. But how much does it really cost to just have the labeling be more accurate? You know? Okay, so Jiggly says that your wife uses plain Greek yogurt as sour cream. Okay, well, this is something that was a family gathering. Somebody set this out at like a potato bar to be used as sour cream, thinking it was sour cream and not reading the label enough. Greek plain does kind of conjure up Greek yogurt because there is such a thing as Greek yogurt, but I haven't really heard of Greek sour cream. But why not? You know? Yeah, yeah, it's definitely yogurt. James is correct. Um, yeah, so Kevin, right? In what context would a big Greek label on a dairy product not imply yogurt? Okay, in a world, there didn't used to be a world in which there was a yogurt called Greek yogurt. So maybe there's a new Greek everything, right? What does that even mean, right? Certain texture. But yeah, so going back, there it is right there. There's our yogurt thing, okay? Obscure labeling, we can zoom in. But why do you have to do that? Why make the reader or the user guess? you know? And it was set out by somebody who thought, even opening it, it looks like sour cream. You kind of whoosh it up and maybe it works just fine as sour cream, put it in the chili or put it in potato bar or whatever. Okay, here's another one. Now, this was actually, anyone been to Wallabies? I know you're all poor, starving students. I get it. I'm not. I was once, so it's okay. I'm not anymore. Um, so, Kevin, doesn't the FDA require that little label of yogurt anyway? I think it requires, yeah, but I think that you can make it bigger, right? Gunnar loves Wallabies and Oingo Boingo. Gunnar, I want to know what you think of the song Stay by Oingo Boingo. Here's my question. Wallabies, Smokehouse, there's obviously two different colors on this barbecue sauce, the blue and the green. I want you to just tell me what kind of barbecue sauce that is. Oh, Derek used to work there? Okay. Oh, Derek. Did I bump into you there? William suggests. So, Derek, did I bump into you at Wallabies? Yeah, a long time ago. That's been a while. And I didn't recognize you once you turned into Nicolas Cage on your icon. So yeah, I do remember. I remember that. I remember bumping into you there. Um, okay, what flavor is it? Let's take a better look. Okay, here's another look at the label. The blue flavor. Okay, it's all obscured. Zesty. Oh, actually, what about this? There's the green one. If you look really, really careful, there, raspberry. First of all, you're burning a lot of real estate where you could make that a little bigger. This one I think was just zesty, which I think is the one back here. I'm not even sure anymore, but I did take these pictures, right? I mean, it's just bad. It's just really bad visualization. Green raspberry, yeah, man. Okay, now this one I have a confession to make. This is a picture of the doorknob at in the men's room at Nico's. Yep, Walter recognized it. Yeah, Nico's. And everybody knows I love Nico's, right? I really, really do. Um, love me some Nico's. But this is just bad. First of all, that door is just nasty. Like, come on, Nate, man. Let's get a fresh coat of paint on here. Not that hard. But I obscured right here. You can kind of see it. There's a little just copy and paste. There's the doorknob. Now the question is, how do you lock this thing? Right? How do you lock that doorknob? Okay, there's your lock right there. That little button. Pull it. The button's hidden. This is the absolute violation. And again, I love Nico's, but I don't love them for this doorknob. It's a secret lock, and it's a bathroom where you want to lock for some privacy, right? Okay, but now here's the other part. This is what is under what I obscured. Now remember the principle, the Don Norman principle. If you have to put a sign, right? If you have to put a sign, then you got yourself a bad design. And then the similar principle coming out of Phil Armour, which is that the device should teach you of its usage. You shouldn't have to remember arbitrary crap. Okay. Yeah, Seeds. We should buy them a new door handle. Yeah, yeah. Okay, here's another one. Here's another one. I took this one at this is the, well, it's probably still the same, but it's the Salt Lake Airport. But I want you to just look at that for a second. And in fact, that's a closer view. So you're driving around, right? And this is clearly an up ramp. You can see that's kind of banking up, right? Um, yeah, Gunnar, the door goes into the hallway. Yeah, so here's the question. So Kevin asked the question, is level one, so we're at the airport now, okay? Let me zoom it in. zoom it in just so you can see just the sign, right? What is this? The sign gives you a metaphor. The sign should align. Imagine, for example, being in an elevator and having, normally if you've got 5 floors on an elevator, what's the order of the 5 buttons? Will it go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? And no, typically the order of the buttons matches the order of the floor. You have one metaphor, and then you double up that metaphor, right? So if I've got 5 buttons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, going to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 floors. My question to you is, where is level 1? Is it on the top or is it on the bottom? Level 2 is in the middle. We know that. And where's level 3? On the bottom or on the top? What's your guess? Um, Kevin asked the question, is level 1 the top level or the bottom level? What do you think? Talk to me. Okay, everybody's gone shy or gone home. Talk to me. Survey. Okay, I'm going to do a survey. That should loosen everybody up. Survey. Level 1 is the top level, yes or no? Did that go through? Did I freeze up? Yeah, I can. Did I freeze up? Yeah, I think it. What I've got right now, I sent mine. Let me try to resend it, retry it. Because it was all of a sudden everything went really quiet, like nobody was responding at all, and it's a little unusual for you guys. And then I went to send the survey, and it just clogged. So what do we do? Let's see. Nah, I mean we could. So what do we do here with this link? Do we? But yours are not going through either. But the chat's still working on Discord. I mean the audio chat is what I mean. And I'm getting, so I wonder if that's a Discord server problem. Well, and the problem is now I can hear you, but it doesn't go through to YouTube. So I could copy it a little bit. And if we, let me see. Yeah, messages are not getting through. Effective about 3 minutes ago. Recommendations. Yeah, it's true. No, that's right. So I could like yeah. Let me just yeah. The question is my translation of the audio over. Let me just I'll just talk about it for a sec. And I think I'm going to probably mimic or kind of echo some of what you guys are going to say. The fundamental problem here is that the instinct is for level 1 to be at the bottom, level 3 to be at the top. That's what we do with elevators. It's what we do with floors in a building, first floor, second floor, third floor. And in reality, I went and drove around and confirmed this. Level 1 was below. Level 2 was in the middle. I think that the other thing I don't know just right here, um, let me back this up. What level am I at right now? Right? I can't tell. If I'm just, I don't know my current context. And then I don't know Am I at level one and everything else is above me? Am I at level one and everything is below me? Am I at level two and I go up or down? There's so much that I don't have informationally, and with the ability to sort of know how to act, in this circumstance, right? This is really simple, but really, really stupid, and not hard. Who it was just somebody was not, we're back to use case design always. Somebody was not thinking of use case design. Um, in the meantime, if you guys want to just keep, trying messages on Discord and see if we can get some through, just try periodically. That would be great. Oh, and don't forget to do attendance. Okay, that was the end of those. So, but those are good ones, right? I think there's some really good ones. They're not class. If I were a better teacher, we'd have better, like class diagrams in the wild, you know. But oh crap. Oh, you're right. You're right, Walter. Crap. Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I can do that, but then, then I don't have full translation where everybody's names don't match their kind of in real life names. You know what I mean? I don't have. No, Luke, you can go back. No. Hey, Occam's razor, right? Give everybody a break and lighten your own workload. I've done that before. No, it's good thinking. It's good thinking, Luke. Um, but oh man. Well, let's hope it. What I'm trying to figure out is whether this comes back. I mean, do we fix anything by like we're all here, we're all getting it, which means it's got to be at a server level, right? It can't just be like this. I guess it could just be this chat, and then we could say everybody. No, but it's the text chat's not working, and the audio is. And Walter, you just tried over in attendance and couldn't drop in anything. Okay, let me try. Yeah, I just had that same revelation. Yep, I just went over to a DM chat that has nothing to do with anything we're doing here, and that's not going through either. Yeah, yeah. Discord's Discord's having an issue. Well, let me do this then. Let me just. There's a couple of the other Occam's razor, as we just call it. Um, I'm so tired today. I don't know if you guys are going through this, but I am just like I don't know what's my problem. Sequence diagrams is not that big. But the problem is, I really dig the interaction. It makes everything. Are we back? Oh, you're right. And I just had a text that went through on the other thing. All right. Yeah, the Discord server heard Luke getting all serious about taking charge of the situation. It was like, we best, step up here and, you know, stop throwing down the gauntlet. Okay, chat is back in black. Um, okay, in honor of that, I've got one thing to like get for you, which will take half of you completely away, and that's okay as well. But for whoever said back in black, it's a mashup of the Bee Gees and AC/DC, and it is pretty much going to make your year if you haven't seen this already. Okay, go back to. Yeah, I'm just going to get rid of the chat, the survey, because we already dealt with it. Um, where are we at? Chat is back. Yeah, William, we're working. It's working. Okay. Well, then let me just drop. We get a little bit of progress here on diagrams. We've only got 15 minutes, and frankly, we don't need much more than that for sequence diagrams. And some of you are gone. You're now like lost to me now, because you're off watching the mashup of AC/DC and the Bee Gees. But you're very welcome. Okay, so sequence diagrams. Here's the idea. We're going to talk about, so class diagrams are about the definition. It's like the DNA sequence, right? It doesn't tell you, DNA doesn't tell you what you're going to do right this moment, or what you had for lunch, or, things like that. Gunner. ABDGs. Yeah. But there are certain diagrams that deal with the behavior of an object, okay? And these are the ones: sequence diagrams, object diagrams, state machines, activities, communication diagrams, okay? And we're going to start with sequence diagrams. The ones that I think is probably the very, very most important is state machine diagrams. I really think that they are very, very important. And sequence diagrams can be very important communication diagrams. And activity diagrams. I guess object diagrams least of all, but it does give you another view into the system. So they're all important. Okay. So sequence diagrams are the most popular. And these are the key questions again, okay? I mean, by the way, I've only got, what are we at here? 17 total slides, and we're on number 3. So this is not a ton of slides. But the questions are: what thoughts about design do sequence diagrams kind of induce you to have? Okay. Does it kind of lead you to have? What does it make you think about? That's what I want you to be thinking about here. I don't want you to be like, oh, I don't have to memorize this, so I'm not going to pay attention. Think about, just open your heart and your mind to, what is this thing trying to make me think? And then once I know about sequence diagrams, what are the questions I can now ask that I couldn't ask before? That's Sapir-Whorf, right? The vocabulary gives me a tool for cognition. All right. Okay. Here's the idea. The participants are objects. So again, I'm pivoting over to my big screen, but I've got. Remember, we had the example, and we're kind of weak on continuous examples in the class. But we've got an order line, a product, a customer, and these are objects. And what you see is that time goes down. Okay, so time flows top to bottom. And these are, again, all these little dashy ones are just like instructional labels to tell us what it is. These are participants. These are lifelines. The lifeline identifies when this object is alive, basically. This is a phase during which it's activated and actively used. These are messages. Okay. Now, there's one thing about sequence diagrams and some of the examples that that Fowler uses that I really, really dislike, which is, what really happens here is there's typically a call like get quantity. If I want to calculate the price, there's a message that's sent to an order. The order has to get the quantity from an order line. And this does not show it going back. And I think personally that that's really, really bad, in my opinion. Because here it's coming back and here it's not. And I'm just supposed to know. It's just basically the same principle that I get from Philip Armour, and also the Norman doors. When I have to keep a memory in my head in order to interact with the system, then you've got yourself a bad design. Okay, so I'm not a fan of that. But if you look at it, the quantity comes back. I get the product, it comes back. I get the pricing details, it should come back. I calculate the base price, which is me talking to a method inside myself. Calculate the discounts, which in the middle of all that, it makes a call out to get the discount information. It should come back as well. Okay. But what you can see is the sort of the temporal order. This is really the sequence of events, right? The things that start at a certain time and keep going. Does that make sense? Let's see. We do have an order that can calculate its own price. We got the idea. We got the idea. Yeah, we've already talked about these things. They're already built in. The notion of a found message, this is the vernacular. The notion of a found message is simply, I don't care where it came from. It's not the point. A message comes in and now it's going to do some stuff. We don't care. And objects can invoke methods on themselves, which is always true if there exist methods, right? This one, the return is always assumed, even if it's explicit, which I don't like. Dr. K, I prefer to be consistent and always use return when there's a return, because otherwise you get a mixed metaphor. Because there are situations, the problem is when there's no return, sometimes there aren't returns. It's a call and I let it go and there's no return. Other times there is, but what does no return in the diagram tell me definitively? Can I tell whether there's a return or no return in the system? No, I cannot, and that's bad. I can tell there's a call, and when there's a return, I can tell there's a return. When there's no return, I can't tell whether that's a return I didn't identify or one that doesn't exist. There are messages we send, right? Think about, like UDP or certain kinds of networking things or broadcast datagrams where I just push a value out and I just let it go and I don't worry about it, right? How we coming? Let me see something. Because we got 8 minutes. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if we get through them. It's okay. I'm not too worried about it. Because we'll get through it next time. Easy peasy. What else? What else? Oh, here's an alternate design. Notice that here we've got a certain design where all of the think of this as more like a centralized, right? The order is running everything. The order gets the quantity, brings it back. Its product, brings it back. Its pricing details, brings it back. Calculates, then calculates discount, gets the information, brings it back. All the work is happening right here with an order. But there's another way of doing the design, which would be this way, okay? More of a distributed kind of approach. Think about it for a second. I calculate the price, I call it order. Order tells the order line to calculate its price. Order line then does the get price, brings it back. Again, the lines are not coming back, and I think it lends confusion badly. Then I get the discounted value and base value and whatever. But can you see how this one's a little more distributed? It's like I tell you to do one thing, I tell you to do another thing, as opposed to I bring it back, I bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. Does that make sense? There we go. There we go. Kind of side by side. One on the left. I'm just kind of curious what you prefer. The central versus the distributed design, and why? What do you think? Give me your thoughts. Assuming we could still do chat. Seth doesn't like either. Seth, come on, man. What would you prefer? By the way, Seth, it's still a sequence diagram. That's the point. Wait, hang on a second. Whoa. Everything just busted. Hang on a second. Let me see. Seth hates everybody and everything. Now, what do you think? Which do you prefer? Between the two, Seth. Between the two, man. What do you think? Lance likes the one on the right. Talk to me. Got a few people chatting. No, Landon, one is not more accurate or correct than the other. They are trying to reflect a very similar behavior. Seed says the one on the right doesn't hurt as much. Does it hurt? But my problem is I spent way too much of my career doing networking and data communications, kind of data flow. So this is really intuitive to me, but like I said, I've spent so much of my career kind of in that space. What else do you think? The problem always with central versus distributed, which let me ask you this. Which one is easier to debug? If you had a live system, you know, order calls order line calls product, you know, Kevin asserts, how many of you agree with Kevin? Kevin says the left is easiest to debug. And I agree, by the way. I agree. Because there's kind of like always one point of failure, and it's the order. The other one, you start the thing, then you got to go over to the other part of the system to look at what it's doing next. Oh, it threw it over the wall. Then you got to chase that one where it went. But everything's there. In the end, everything's there. Yeah. Let me keep going because we only got a couple minutes, and maybe we can actually finish this. Yeah, and this just kind of gets into what the weaknesses are. Most of the invocation happen on every order line. One of them only happens once. What am I trying to say with this one? I did build this slide, but I'm now no longer remembering what my point was. Yeah, I'm not sure what I was saying. I'm not sure what I meant by that. So I'm just going to skip it. The other thing I can do with sequence diagrams, I can show the creation and deletion of objects. Okay, I can actually do a new to create that guy. I can identify that. Some systems I have to worry about that. When I'm in like C++, where I have to explicitly create everything and then I explicitly have to tear stuff down. I have to think about it. Where are we at here? So back to this kind of core questions. I hope that it starts to at least make you think about some questions. And if you want to drop them here, we've only got a couple minutes. What questions can you now ask looking at this sort of thing? If you have any ideas or thoughts on that, it's still open to win the chat. I don't know who's winning the chat so far. I was going to say Luke, but I think Luke bailed on the chat. So you can't win the chat if you're not there at the end when the award ceremony happens. Discord wins the chat. Yeah. Seth, you're very funny. Okay, let me see. Let's go back. So this is really the kind of the core question. What does this make you think about your design? What questions can you now ask? What about this one? What about this one? And this one is a new one that we didn't really go into. Gunner's done chasing the winning the chat. No, Gunnar might have won the chat as an alternate to Luke just by bringing up Danny Elfman. I think Gunnar, I'm going to give you honorary. You know, just fell asleep, dropped some Danny Elfman reference, woke up with a trophy, and didn't quite know how it happened. I'm gonna give you the trophy, Gunnar, for the day. Yeah, yeah, but it's all for Elfman, and you gotta check out "Stay" by Oingo Boingo, and let me know what you think. Um, this one is one where there's like iteration and an alternate angle, and I don't like these. To me, it's like I kind of understand what it's trying to do, but to me, doing the iteration, I don't know. I just don't like it. I think it's too much. Oh, Luke is back. Luke heard that the award ceremony happened without him. He came roaring back. Oh my gosh. Okay, where are we at here? Last slide. Last slide. What thoughts about design do they induce you to have? That's the question of the day. Um, this is really about the orders of ignorance. Okay. Sorry, Luke. Sorry, man. This is all about just equipping you, giving you some framework. Diagrams give you a point of reference to give you a framework to allow you to ask questions which impact um, your ability to think new thoughts and to do design. That's all I got. We're out of time. I'm beat. I need this semester to be over. We all do. Luke. Nice. Nice share, Luke, down the stretch. Luke did win second alternate after Gunner, though. What? No. No, what happened, Luke, was I was going to the award ceremony for who won the chat. And I was like, maybe Luke wins the chat. And then I look and you're not on. So I had to go looking for a second alternate. So Gunnar just like you were, yeah, yeah, yeah. But then you fell asleep. Yeah, no, exactly right. Exactly. Because there's no evidence one way or the other, really, anyway. No actual trophy ceremony. Gunner also is going to bound to fall asleep and leave the trophy on the table, and you can just snag it at that point. You know, it's got your name on it, so it's all fair, man. Okay, my friends, stay healthy, stay safe. What's today, Wednesday? Have a great weekend. I'm going to shut this thing down. Listen to me, some Bee Gees and some AC/DC.